Live from the Irish Hills of Michigan, welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series here on the North American Sim Racing Network. Tonight, it's Motor City Mayhem here at the Michigan International Speedway. Hi, hello, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, as well we welcome you to Brooklyn, Michigan for tonight's coverage of race number 3, the second segment of the 2026 season of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series here tonight at the Michigan International Speedway and live on the North American Sim Racing Network, your home for the Fast Racing League. My name is Trey Wright. 70 laps going on the big board here tonight at Michigan, and we are ready to rock and roll for what is expecting to be a fantastic race here tonight at this 2.5 mile, rather just this 2 mile D-shaped oval. So we got 3 cars out on track. We should be expecting about 5 cars to make the race. And there is your last winner here in the Fast Racing League on the North American Sim Racing Network. The number 7 of Tyler Stolhood won the Coca-Cola 600 2 weeks ago in a last lap little dogfight action there at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And there's your most recent winner, the Fast Racing League proper for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. The 74 of Drew Fast won last week in a stacked field at the Nashville Super Speedway for his second win of the segment, his first ever points-paying win in the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series for that 74 machine of Drew Fast. There, Joshua Moyers and Randall Coleman, both coming out on track for Moyers, the defending champion from segment 1 of 2026. He's still looking for his first win of the new segment. And, of course, Randall Coleman went into the inside.
Connection lost. Error. Error. Connected.
And we are back here at the Michigan International Speedway. Apologize for some technical difficulties. You gotta love it when we just have the greatest amount of luck here on the North American Sim Racing Network when both the internet decides to peak in absolute stupidity and my keyboard dies at the same time, so that's why we unfortunately weren't able to get the problem solved immediately. But fortunately, we still got about 6 minutes to go here in practice and plenty of time to talk about some storylines. And like we were talking about before, we were unfortunately interrupted. Potentially just a very, very big hit for Christopher Bell earlier on. It looks like we are going to get a couple more people here in the server. Looks like RJ Bishop and Don LaPrade will be in here as well. So I believe LaPrade is going to be making his first start of the season. We expect Tate Dorsey to potentially be in here as well. But overall, Joshua Moyers looking pretty strong in car number 68. Put down a 37.750. Fastest time here in practice. Randall Coleman just only a couple hundredths of a second off as he was looking to take off with a 37.767. Of course, you know, is Matthew Wright, my brother Wright, to my 10 o'clock. Glad to have him back home. And, you know, unfortunately, he's not in the server tonight either. I don't know what he's doing. He's doing a stupid iRace. But overall, as... yeah, you're number 1 too, bud. We wait for more cars to go on track. It's just Stallhood and Drew Fast right now, nose to tail. Going to see if there's going to be anybody else that will come in here tonight for what is expected to be a pretty great race here this evening. We take a look at the race analysis. We are anticipating potentially 8 cars to start the race here tonight. It is going to be a 70-lap event for 140 miles here in the Irish Hills. So just a little bit shy of what the ARCA Menard Series ran 1 week ago, or a couple of days ago here in the real-life NASCAR landscape. Of course, Michigan, it's a flat track here with 18 degrees of banking in the corners, 12 degrees on the in the tri-oval. But the big portion, the big thing that's going to be tricking up a lot of these drivers here tonight is going to be the exit off turn number 2. And we didn't even just see it in the Fuel Grand National race a couple of days ago on Wednesday night. We didn't see it just at the ARCA level. We saw it in the truck level, and we saw it in the cup level here today. Turn number 2 coming off Michigan is very, very, very tough to drive, because the back end of the car just gets super light and it just swings way out coming through the corner. Overall, with about 3 minutes to go here, it looks like we might be getting Juan Figueroa in the server as well, potentially. But overall, he's unfortunately, now that he's not out on track, but we do want to give a big shout-out to Joshua Moyers for sponsoring tonight's race. So we take a look at the broadcast schedule for Segment 2. You know, Michigan wasn't originally going to be sponsored, but Josh came forward and was like, hey, if you want to, I'll be willing to sponsor any more races you got. And fortunately enough, this was the only weekend I've got left over or left open here for Segment 2. So Michigan has been added to the schedule when we take a look at the rest of the rest of the races that will be sponsored. Of course, Navy Base Coronado, still a little bit TBD if the track is currently existing yet. But overall, that's currently on the slate to be ran on Father's Day here in a fortnight on June 21st. And then we go quite a few weeks here on the North American Sim Racing Network without fast races on Sunday nights, without fast broadcasts on Sunday night, until we get to Sunday night on June or July the 12th, where it will be the final race of the regular season for this segment at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. That's going to be a lot of fun, and then we'll get the final 4 races broadcasted here on the NESRN, starting off with the first race of the chase of Segment 2. That's going to be a tape-delayed race on Monday, July 20th from the North Wilkesboro Speedway, and then everything else after that should, in all likelihood, be live from Indianapolis, Iowa, and Richmond alike. We might have to rain check that Indianapolis race due to a schedule conflict with ARCA. And we'll see if we get anybody else. We're going to get DeMario Chambers. He's going to be driving in here tonight, and there is Don LaPrade in that number 47 Lazarus Chevrolet Camaro coming out here for the opening time tonight. Tyler Stallhood getting some adjustments on that ColemanCars.com number 7 machine, and here comes that 47 of LaPrade. Looking to kick some butt here tonight in that Lazarus Camaro, out and away with under a minute to go here in practice. So we're going to take you for a lap around the Michigan International Speedway here tonight. I'll take you on board with this number 47 machine of Don LaPrade. And this is quite the track to really get around. LaPrade will start probably his first practice lap with about maybe 45 seconds to go here in practice, but You know, it doesn't look like a lot. 18 degrees of banking doesn't look like a lot, but especially through the apex of 1 and 2, you can really feel it, and LeDun really felt it there. Most recent winner here on the North American Sim Racing Network, and just like we were talking about, he's going to do an entire spin off that second corner. There's Tate Dorsey in the Valvoline 64 machine. We'll see how that Mustang will fare through turn number 2. Takes a little bit lower of a line. He hit his apex pretty well. We'll see if he's going to be able to put down a lap here in practice, but it looks like Joshua Moyers will go top of the boards in that automobile, the number 68 Cincinnati automobile. Drew Fast still in his pit stall. But it is going to be a great race here tonight, and we're looking forward to having a few more people in the server. Dorsey will put down a lap of 38.2 on his out lap. Not sure how much more time he's going to get before we get into qualifying, and he's just going to bin it going into the apex of 1 and 2. So that should theoretically do it for the end of practice. Joshua Moyers top of the charts with a 37 and a 3/4 of a second lap to take the top of the charts here in practice before we'll go into qualifying here in just a few moments on tonight's coverage of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series live on the North American Sim Racing Network here this evening. And we thank everybody for tuning into tonight's broadcast. As per usual, here on the NESRN, we'll be back in just a couple of moments with the start of Happy Hour and the beginning of race number 3 of segment 2 of the 2026 season of the RPCS, the Motor City Mayhem, here tonight in Michigan. And we are back here at the Michigan International Speedway. Qualifying has wrapped up, and we'll go ahead and take a look at the qualifying order here in just one moment. Once we get the official graphic in there, which we should be good to go just now. And we have ballooned from 4 drivers entering the race here tonight to 9 different entries. So there's the 99 of R.J. Bishop, sporting a new number, new paint scheme, and a new number font here tonight. Back in the number 99 machine, but he's going to be having a different number tag. But nonetheless, the 99 machine looking really snazzy. Same thing with the number 70 of John Foreman, who, funny enough, just came from the Michigan International Speedway. And, of course, he's got the Wolverines colors in that number 70 car. We'll see what he is able to do in that 70 machine. Of course, a native of the area, Demario Chambers in the number 94 car, also in the server here this evening. That will make us with 9 drivers starting tonight's race. But Randall Coleman taking pole position here for the Motor City Mayhem. So R.J. Bishop, the only driver that has put down a qualifying lap, or a lap here in happy hour. Fortunately, that still says practice, so we're going to change it to happy hour real quick. You get to see more behind-the-scenes work here on the North American Sim Racing Network, but it's going to be a little bit bigger field size than we were expecting. But nonetheless, the bigger the field size, the more the fun. And there's Tate Dorsey in the 64, one of only a handful of drivers that did not put down a lap in qualifying. Rather, his lap was disallowed. There's Stallhood in that 7 machine. R.J. Bishop currently still fastest here in happy hour. And once again, take a look at the race analysis. It's not often that we have the fortunateness to have a car count here in fast that is higher than the cars starting. But it is going to be 9 cars on the grid for 70 laps, with the stages ending at laps 20 and 40. Of course, watch out for the Revolution Motorsports teammates to really be the front runners in this race. Of course, we know how hungry Joshua Moyers is in that 68 machine to finally get his first win of this segment. But don't count out quite a few drivers like Demario Chambers in that Revolution Motorsports 94 car, another man from the Revolution Motorsports camp. R.J. Bishop kind of running in his own operation. Same thing with Dunlaprod and Tate Dorsey. But again, you look at the track itself. That second turn, like we saw a lot in practice, was really gruesome for a lot of drivers. But overall, it's going to be a hot area to really watch out for here tonight. Happy hour has ended. We'll take a quick look at the upcoming broadcasts here on the North American Sim Racing Network, as after tonight, it's officially Tricky Triangle Week here on the NESRN, as we've got a doubleheader from the Pocono Raceway on both this upcoming Wednesday night for the Kalahari Resorts 100 from the Tricky Triangle, and same thing with another resort race from the Pocono Raceway, the Jack Frost Big Boulder Ski Resort 400 for the Mission Barbecue Cup Series for their 17th race of the season. And then we go road racing next week for the Fuel Grand National Series on the streets of Long Beach before the night after and the Saturday after that. We do a little bit of dancing at the Bowl of Champions in 1 week at the Hillside International Speedway, but that is then, and this is now. We're going to go ahead and send things downstairs for pre-race ceremonies to get tonight's race underway, with 9 drivers looking to take home some hardware here in the 3rd race of the season here for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series here on the North American Sim Racing Network from the Michigan International Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines!
9 cars all lined up and are ready to do battle for 140 miles here in the Irish Hills of Michigan. It's Randall Coleman who starts on the pole position with Drew Fast to his outside. John Foreman, the Michigan Wolverine State native, looking to get a win in his backyard, with RJ Bishop starting to his outside in row number 2. Don LaPrade and DeMario Chambers round out the starting 6 here for tonight's 9-car grid, with Tyler Stallhood, Tate Dorsey, and Joshua Moyers looking to do the last to first challenge here tonight. Plenty of Chevrolets in the grid, with a couple of hometown Fords sprinkled in here and there. But it's the Toyota Camry pace car that will lead the field to the green flag as it dives down onto the pit lane. It's the Amazon Flex number 9 Chevrolet Camaro of Randall Coleman will lead the field of the Geico restart zone. Green flags in the air. Let's rock and roll here in the Wolverine State. We're live from Michigan. John Foreman already getting aggressive as he was watching these Cup drivers wheel this next-gen car around the Michigan International Speedway not 4 hours ago. He knows the way around this MIS facility, and he'll go to the race lead underneath the 9. Up the racetrack goes Don LaPrade, and we got a side-by-side battle. They're going to bang fenders off turn number 4. Way up the track goes Coleman. Fortunately for him, he did not hit as hard as Christopher Bell did earlier on today. Those two wheel to wheel right at the start-finish line. Couldn't quite tell who led that lap, but it was very close. It was only 14 one-thousandths of a second between John Foreman and Randall Coleman, and Foreman had that lap led. Here he goes, remaining to the inside, and RJ Bishop, who had a good qualifying run, sticking with the Larson line here at Michigan. Not sure how much that will help him, as Fast will move underneath him, battling for that 3rd spot, and they are still wheel to wheel, fender to fender between the Ford of Foreman and the Chevrolet of Fast. The Chevrolet of Coleman, I should say, here on lap number 3 of the night, and it has been so much fun to start off with here tonight already on the 3rd lap of 70. Fast will duck low underneath of RJ Bishop, and quickly gaining some ground right beside his Ford teammate is that 6 machine of Tate Dorsey. I count 6 Chevrolets on the grid and 3 Fords. No Toyotas, no Dodges, so it's pretty much a match race for the manufacturers. As Coleman will come around the outside to lead lap number 3 on the night. 3 down. And as the young kids say, this time around, 67 laps to go here at the Michigan International Speedway, but still plenty of time for these drivers to rock and roll. And Foreman, much to the delight of the hometown crowd here in Brooklyn, Michigan, getting a pretty good run on the inside of Foreman. He'll back down to the low side. Going back down to the low side is that Wolverines Ford, going up the track a little bit. Foreman not crowded that 9-car a whole lot, as looks like we had a spinner off the corner. I believe those skid marks are probably from the happy hour session. RJ Bishop now creeping up on the outside in that quick lane 99. Foreman trying to hold his ground on the inside now. And all this is happening in front of that 74 of Drew Fast. We go on board with this 74 Mustang. We'll take you for another lap around the Michigan International Speedway, with the leaders battling it out right in front of him. Coleman loving that outer lane. He gets so good of a run off the corners on the outside, but the inside going through the apex is the way to go. And there's still going to be fender to fender going down the front straightaway. Who got that lap led at the line? I believe it may have been Coleman by a wheel well. Coleman doing a really good job, and RJ Bishop, I thought he was going to try and snake his way 3 wide in between all of those guys. He's still thinking about it. Trying to think a little bit better of it now. He's got the outside right behind that 9-car, and he does have a teammate. Way up the track went Tate Dorsey. He came flying into turn 3 like a bat out of absolute Hades. Bishop now making this a 3-horse race, and Don LaPrade Like we were talking about, most recent winner here on the NESRN, you got to go about 48 hours ago to when he won in dramatic fashion over Apollo Hyde, the Fuel Sportsman Series race, the most attended Fuel Sportsman Series race in series history. And we're glad to have that here on our airwaves on the North American Sim Racing Network. And Joshua Moyers is biding his time. He wants to really see how aggressive these guys get in front of him. Because the last thing you want to do, especially at a track like Michigan, is beat up your tire wear early in a run. Like we're talking about, we can expect about 25 to 28 laps on a full tank of fuel. But we're already starting to see the fall off really in droves. The fastest lap of the race right now was a 37.9 from Drew Fast. And that last time by, Randall Coleman ran a 38.2, so already 0.3 of a second in terms of fall off. Tate Dorsey ran a 37.9. So that 64 car beginning to fall off a little bit. Tire wear is going to be a major factor here tonight. It's DeMario Chambers off the pace in the 94 car. Currently 6 seconds off the back end of Randall Coleman. And we'll see. Chambers can catch back up with these drivers already on lap number 8 of the night. And we saw this is a little bit of the same kind of a situation we saw in the Fuel Grand National Series race here Wednesday evening, where nice clean run, a couple of passes earlier on in the run for the lead. But once we got in that 10th lap of the race, that's where we saw our first caution. And in between then and the next about 30 laps after that, rather 20 laps after that, was really stop and go racing on last Wednesday night at one of the largest Grand National fields we've seen here on the NESRN. Bishop looking for a little bit of a side draft on the 70. He's not going to quite get to John's quarter panel. And that may cost that 99 Mustang the 3rd spot, with Dorsey trying to give it everything he's got in that Ford. He'll go up the track and Dunlop Rod tantalizingly close to the safer barrier. Fast starting to make his way up in that 74 machine, but it's all really been Randall Coleman who's had his way with the majority of the field so far, and that Amazon Camaro starting to pull away from RJ Bishop, who was taken second away from John Foreman. Foreman now under fire from a couple of fellow Fords. Halfway home in stage number 1. In fact, count 4 Fords on the grid and 5 Chevrolets. So just about as even of a match race as you can ask for, and you got 4 out of 5 Chevrolets up inside with these drivers. Chambers continuing to fall back. He has lost the draft. You got Randall Coleman in his Chevrolet. A couple of Fords behind him. In fact, the only Revolution Motorsports Chevy not on the grid tonight is this 47 of Dunlop Rod, rather the the only Chevrolet that is not in the Revolution Motorsports stable is Dunlop Rod in that 47 car. And he's starting to lose a little bit of time to the 7 of Tyler Stallhood, who goes up the track. He's going to bobble off too a little bit. Not as big of a bobble as we've seen drivers have in practice, but still, it's going to give him a little bit of a loss of time and a little loss of momentum that might put him right in the gun sight to the 68 of Moyers. Tate Dorsey slipping back a little bit in the 64. He's got LaPrade right up his rear end. 12 laps are in the books here at the Michigan International Speedway. And that tire wear is starting to creep up a lot. And now RJ Bishop with an issue in the 99. He had to get way down low. You know, when you look at the monitor for more than 3 seconds, and RJ Bishop has some sort of issue. Not sure if it's mechanical or if it's a flat tire. But that is such a tough break for RJ Bishop, as DeMario Chambers looks like he may have fallen out of the server as well. So that might be a disconnection issue for Chambers. He was currently 9.5 seconds off the pace, and based on the look of that, the received throughput fell to an unacceptable level, and that was an unacceptable moment for RJ Bishop. Fortunately for him, he was able to save it, but much like we saw with Chambers, he is going to lose the draft, and that is such an important component here in Michigan. We'll see if Chambers will be back in the server anytime soon, because that would be another significant loss to the Revolution Motorsports crew. because they're currently running more towards the back end of the field. You've got, of course, Randall Coleman, who's dominated this race, has led now his 11th lap of the night as we've got 6 laps to go in stage 1. But other than that, the highest running REM Chevrolet is Tyler Stallhood, who currently populates 6th, with Joshua Moyers behind him in 7th. Meanwhile, LeProd had a moment there in the 47 as he nearly ran up into John Foreman. And, ooh, that was a little bit scary. I thought we had bounced out of the server there for a brief moment. Knock on wood. Oh, we did bounce out. We're going to go 3 wide going into the corner. So we did bounce out there for a brief moment. So it looks like everything's good. Everything is calm. We did bow out of the server there for a brief second. So RJ Bishop is down the pit lane. I think we bowed out there for a grand total of maybe 5 or 10 seconds, but in case you're just tuning back in, Randall Coleman has opened up his lead to about a second, and it was an absolute dogfight for that 3rd spot as Don LeProd has made his way from the 5th spot all the way up to 3rd that last time by. He's now going to go up for 2nd. LeProd now gunning with everybody else, as he's going to go up into that 2nd spot, fast right behind him in lockstep, and Joshua Moyers has moved his way up from 7th to 4th, and only a handful of laps in that Cincinnati number 68 Chevrolet. 3 to go in stage number 1, and Coleman looking to lead the majority of the laps. It was John Foreman who led the opening 3 laps of tonight's contest, but for the last 14, it's been that Amazon Flex number 9 car, but he has lost a lot of time to Don LeProd. And we are getting confirmation that the first stage will end at lap number 20. And subsequently, the 2nd stage will end at lap number 40. That's not the right graphic we want to put up there, folks. So the stages are ending at laps 20 and 40, and these guys can do about 25 to 28 laps on a full tank of fuel. But as Joshua Moyers just eloquently pointed out, tire wear might become a little bit earlier of an issue than we anticipated here on the penultimate lap of stage number 1. LeProd would have been about 5 car lengths of that 9 car. Fast trying to play defense here with only a handful of laps to go in stage 1. Tate Dorsey has dropped off a little bit, and how about Moyers giving a pretty big shove to that Overstat 74 car? You know, at an initial glance, those two are very identical to one another. And I was joking with them earlier on, as Coleman will take the proverbial white flag in stage 1, that of course when there are only 3 cars in the server, potentially 4 that were going to make the race at that point, of course half the field has to look very identical to one another. And then of course it doesn't help right now that they're going side by side, just about, as Moyer's trying to work the top lane over fast. Drew's going to shut the door on Josh. Done a little too far back of Randall to try and make any damage here in his comeback. He'll go down to the low side, but Coleman's going to get the run off turn 4. And off the 4th and final corner, leading the final 17 laps of stage number 1 tonight, it's going to be Randall Coleman, the boss man of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. He's your stage 1 winner. LeProd and Fast, your podium for stage number 1. Joshua Moyers and Tate Dorsey rounding out the top 5. Here tonight, Tyler Stallhood falls back into 6th. John Foreman back in the 7th spot. And currently, 1 lap down is RJ Bishop. He is the final car on the track. And now Tate Dorsey has actually dropped down the pit lane. Looks like he splits the stage in half. And this is an interesting call for of strategy for Tate Dorsey. Because again, I don't know if he's going to be in a position to make it on only 1 more pit stop. We're going to have 50 laps to go. That's going to be very tight on a tank of fuel for Tate. Well, Tyler Stallhood's also going to come down around similar numbers here on lap 22. And looks like we might start seeing a little bit of short pitting for these drivers. And Caution right now would definitely help out RJ Bishop, but it would certainly kind of change things up a little bit, and that would really deliver a high curveball. See if we have any more takers. We have Drew Fast, who got a little too fast going in the pit lane. He was able to get that over stat 4 to back down just enough. We'll see how much the difference fresh rubber is for Tate Dorsey compared to the rest of the field, because Randall Coleman last time by, he ran a 38.79, so just about a second slower than what we're accustomed to. The fastest car, or the slowest car on track was John Foreman. He ran a 39.4. Fast down the pit lane once again. We'll see if there are any more takers this time around. It doesn't look like we'll get any from the top 3. John Foreman will also stay out a lap, and Tate Dorsey and Tyler Stallhood currently right on the tail end of the lead lap. Rather, they're just 1 lap down. Drew Fast also will go a lap down. Everybody that was on the undercut will go past him, and Stallhood trying to slide up the DMs of the track in Michigan. It's right behind Dorsey, and this could be the battle for the race lead, because they aren't too far behind the race leaders, and I think Randall might be coming down the pit lane this time by. Dunn certainly is. Here we go on pit lane as Joshua Moyers will zoom on by. Randall Coleman and Dunn LaPrade, who were first and second, they nearly made contact coming down the pit area, but they will lumber their way down pit lane here for the 2 leaders of the race, and we'll follow them as they make their first pit stop of the night right at the lap 25 mark. So right as what we are showing to be the beginning of the window for these drivers, they will come down. Sliding the tires there was Randall Coleman. It's not going to really matter because he's going to put on 4 Mr. Feelgoods anyway. Dunn now going to the left side of his car with the tires. Same thing with Randall Coleman, and LaPrade will be out and away. He might drive through a few extra pit boxes for his trouble. But there he goes, and we'll see the race off the pit lane. It's going to be close. Dorsey and Stallhood, it looks like they will indeed take the race lead away for now, and Tate Dorsey will be the proverbial leader thanks to the undercut. But again, he came down out of lap 20, so that is 5 lap older tires for Tate Dorsey, 4 lap older tires there for Tyler Stallhood. And John Foreman and Joshua Moyers will be the last of the cars to come down the pit lane. And that will do it. Moyers is going to lose a little bit of track position, but we'll see just how much those fresher Goodyears will be in favor of him. Certainly looks like the undercut is the way to go for these drivers as Drew Fast is caught up to Dunn LaPrade. We'll see just how far in front Randall Coleman will be of Tate Dorsey and company, and how much he'll be able to catch up, because right now, that last time by, Randall Coleman was about a 1.5 seconds behind Tate Dorsey. We'll see what the survey will say this time around, as Dorsey just now going into turn 2. And Randall, he is about 20, 25 car lengths behind that 64 car. But again, we still got plenty of time to go in this race. We're only a third of the way through the race here tonight on lap 27. It's Tate Dorsey leading his first lap of the night. He becomes the 4th different leader as Joshua Moyers led a pair under that pit cycle. John Foreman has dropped back a little bit in the 70, and same thing for Moyers, who stayed out an additional lap compared to the race leaders of Coleman and LaPrade. It's a little bit interesting that he fell back that much coming down the pit lane as late as he did, because he only came down the pit lane 1 lap later than everybody else, and he was pretty much right lockstep with Coleman and LaPrade. Just goes to show how much track position matters, but also tire wear begin to matter a little bit more, as Coleman has closed in 0.3 seconds that last time by on the leader of Dorsey. And Stallhood does have a little bit fresher rubber than Tate. We'll see if he'll use that to his advantage here, but it looks like Randall Coleman is closing in a lot. You can see the gap. It is just now about maybe 15 car lengths compared to the 25 that we were gauging only 2 laps ago. So on that fresh rubber, Randall Coleman's coming. Dunlaprod also closing in on the 9 car. And he might be having to start fighting a 2-front war here pretty soon. Drew Fast also starting to chug along. And Joshua Moyers was exactly 4 seconds right behind the 64 that last time by. We'll see if that will change at all. Stolhood, I think he is getting a little bit of impatient with that 64 car in front of him. I thought he was going to take the bumper off. These two squabbling at the front of the pack is exactly what Randall Coleman wants to see. He was 0.8 of a second off the back end of Dorsey that last time by. Now he is closed in dramatically. And now is only a handful of car lengths behind his teammate of Stolhood. As they rocket off turn number 2, and now it's a 5-car battle for the race lead. As we approach the halfway point through tonight's Motor City Madness. Moyers closing in 0.3 of a second on that fresher rubber. Slightly fresher rubber than anybody else on track. John Foreman has dropped back a little bit. He is currently 12 seconds off the lead. And here comes Randall Coleman. He's going to push Tyler Stolhood, trying to push that 7 car to the front. It was Tate at the line as they were door-to-door at the stripe. You give it to Dorsey by maybe about half a wheel well, but he's going to go way up the track. He's going to lose the lead. He's going to lose second. He might lose his composure as he nearly gets into the safer barrier. He's able to hold on to it, but he might go from first to the worst end of this pack here in just about maybe a mile and a half. Stolhood will go for the race lead. Coleman looking high. He's going to fake high, goes down low. They'll be door-to-door for the Revolution Motorsports teammates. Give the lap lead to Stolhood. And I think that's exactly what he wanted, just to get a lap lead for his first of the night. And he might surrender things here for the time being to Randall Coleman, but Dunlaprod trying to take advantage of these two still going side by side. Nearly had a gap on the 7 car, and Stolhood's going to block down low. You know, these two of Stolhood and Laprod, very friendly off the track over in the Fuel Racing League, but on the track here in Fast, there is no such love between these two. And Drew Fast is going to move up into third as Stolhood and Dorsey will fall back as the 2 cars on the undercut starting to show their wear in the tire wear department. And again, Tate about maybe at this point 7 to 10 laps away from having to come down the pit lane once again after pitting on lap 20. Because if he keeps up that strategy of the undercut, and he's going to have to pit at least 2 more times in this race, but Coleman back out front with Laprod and Fast giving chase. And lo and behold, Moyers is still about 3.5 seconds back. And that gap has stagnated between the 68 and the 9 and everybody else. RJ Bishop has currently got the oldest tires of anybody, was 7 seconds off the pace that last time by, and John Foreman currently the last car on track. DeMario Chambers currently 21 laps down, technically still in the race, but he had a disconnection issue. Still a lot of time to go, and you know, it's a little bit of a whammy here, but we have been caution-free for the first half of this race. And with how interesting things have been, but also with how janky NR2003 has been for the Fast Racing League as of late, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if we get another legitimate debris caution. Now, we mentioned it 2 weeks ago at Charlotte, how we thought it was a quote-unquote fun flag and a quote-unquote wink-wink, nudge-nudge debris caution. But that was a legitimate debris caution 2 weeks ago at Charlotte. And that's where things really changed, not quite in the favor of Randall Coleman. Of course, he had an RNG engine issue. Right after that restart, stacked up the field, and that is where the door completely swung open for anybody and everybody. Try to get things going. He saw Ike Durbin have a little bit of a run there at the end. He saw John Foreman and Ike get into one another. And Ike ultimately finished a second in that race. John Foreman was involved in a last lap crash. I'm trying to remember who finished third 2 weeks ago. May have been Tate Dorsey. Actually, no, I believe it was Drew Fast who finished second a fortnight ago in the Coke 600. We can officially cue the Bon Jovi. So even though we're in the great Wolverine state of Michigan, we're broadcasting this race live from central New Jersey, and we're halfway there. And living on a prayer are these drivers on the undercut as we're halfway home through tonight's race. Here at the Michigan International Speedway with 36 down, 34 and a half to go. And Randall Coleman has led 25 of the soon-to-be 37 laps on the board. And it's 3 cars, all of them pitting around the same time. Drew Fast, a little bit older tires than these guys, but likes to get aggressive on those older tires. We'll see just how hard he is able to push it, but now 37 laps in the books. We'll go through the field here right now, beginning with Randall Coleman, who's led 26 laps on the evening so far at Michigan. Dunlop currently runs second. Third is Drew Fast, and those 3 have broken away from Tate Dorsey and Tyler Stallhood, 4th and 5th respectively. They are currently 2.5 seconds right behind the leaders, and they currently battle through turns 3 off of the lead lap that is still in the race. And DeMario Chambers, the only car that is currently out of the race, right, still on the lead lap. 3 of them right now under a thimble, coming around to 31 to go. And that second round of pit stops creeping up here ever so slightly. And Joshua Moyers has caught up to the gruesome twosome of Stallhood and Dorsey, and they are getting really close on their numbers. Dorsey came down exactly 20 laps ago on lap 20, and that tire wear is not being friendly. He got pretty loose off the corner.
Connection lost.
Bruh.
Error. Connected.
And we should be good to go after some more unfortunate technical difficulties here on the North American Sim Racing Network. We're going to go ahead and make sure that everything is A-okay. Right now, we don't have a lap count on our score bug. We'll get that all situated here in a moment. And it looks like I don't believe we're going to be getting a proper lap count as well. You know, it's just, you love technical difficulties. You absolutely love them. It looks like we're going to be doing this race old school style here with no lap count on the board. We are going to have a scrolling ticker. And it looks like we've got, trying to see. You know what? We might have to do this old school exactly here with here on lap number 44. So you know what? That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to keep this going old school. And, you know, again, apologies for some of the technical difficulties we've been having here tonight. But coming back here into the fold, Randall Coleman, still your leader here on lap number 45. We'll see if anybody else will have come down the pit lane yet. And there is Tate Dorsey as John Foreman's getting passed by R.J. Bishop. Down the pit lane goes Tate. So everybody besides, as Tyler Stallhood also made what could be his final pit stop of the night. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it, however. Trying to find everybody else as we try and get things resituated here, but there is the 9 of Coleman. Has done LaPrade right behind that 9 car. Coleman now leading his 34th lap of the race, and he is currently the odds-on favorite to get the job done here tonight. But Dunn is closed in, half a second behind that number 9 car. Got Drew Fast still in third, and he is falling back a little bit. He's currently a second and a half right behind Randall Coleman's number 9 car. Remember, he did come in a little bit earlier than these two. At around the lap 25, rather the lap 23 mark, I believe. So this next time by should be good to go for Drew Fast. We'll go ahead and we'll put a graphic up here, just so it's not just empty space, and hopefully. Yep, didn't miss anything there of the ordinary. So we do have a race, or we do have the race up, and you can see the ticker down below. We'll see when Drew Fast will ultimately come down the pit lane for the final time. Potentially, and here he comes. Here on lap number 47 of the race. With just under 25 laps to go, Drew Fast will come down for what could potentially be his final pit stop of the night. It looks like Don LaPrade is also going to be coming down the pit lane this time by 2. So this could very well be the money stop with under 25 to go. Coleman and LaPrade are going to be short pitting a little bit here. Again, LaPrade came in. Actually, you know what? He's just about hitting his numbers on lap 24. We'll see if Randall will stay out an additional lap. He is going to come down as well. That is very fast for Randall Coleman, very fast for LaPrade. And Joshua Moyers is also going to come down with these drivers, as he was only 4 seconds off the back end of them. But here we go. This could very well be the battle for the race win here tonight at Michigan. RJ Bishop out and away, and we'll follow along with the 3 leaders as they will all come out to make what should be their final pit stop of the evening. Coleman in that number 9 car taking 4 Mr. Feel Good tires, and we'll see if Tate Dorsey and Tyler Stallhood are able to beat them off the pit lane in terms of the undercut. There is Stallhood. I don't see Dorsey. Dorsey is way far behind these drivers. And there is Stallhood, who will retain the lead with 21 laps to go this next time by. But this could be very well the battle for the race win between LaPrade and Randall Coleman. They're right now side by side, and the more they battle for that race lead, the more that they're going to lose a little bit of time to Tyler Stallhood, looking for that second win of the season in that ColemanCars.com 7 car. John Foreman down the pit lane. He will make his final pit stop, and he will be the first driver we can probably confidently say can make it to the end. I don't know about Stallhood. I don't know about Dorsey. RJ Bishop definitely needs to make an additional pit stop. John Foreman led his first lap of the night, or his 4th lap of the night. That was John Foreman's first lap led since the opening 3 laps of the race. Ever since then, it's been Randall Coleman who has led 37 of the last 50 laps here tonight. Now 5 different leaders of the race. The only driver that has not led a lap in the race yet is Don LaPrade in that 47 car. John Foreman has led 4 laps. Tyler Stallhood has led 2 laps now. Actually, John Foreman, no, he is currently slated down in 7th as the ticker is still waiting to reset. Now it's going to put Tyler Stallhood in the race lead with a 2 1/4 advantage over Randall Coleman. I imagine that Randall is going to close in exponentially. And not only these next 20 laps, I think in these next 2 laps, he is going to draw a pretty good lead. A pretty good draft off the back end of his teammate, RJ Bishop, has pulled it into the garage area. He is officially retired from the race. He will join DeMario Chambers in the garage area. And right now, only 0.6 of a second separate the 7 from the 9. Don't look now, Dunlaprod. He's got the Jaws theme playing right behind Randall Coleman. And when the chips are down, Dunn is not afraid to get Rick Allen levels of aggressive. Same thing with Randall Coleman. He's got the tire advantage on his teammate, and here he comes down to the inside. This could be the pass for the race win. At the line, it's going to be Tyler Stallhood retaining that race lead by the slimmest of margins. 3 1,000ths of a second there at the line. But it's not going to matter for long, as with 18 laps to go, Randall Coleman back out front in that Amazon Camaro with Dunlaprod. A little bit of trouble getting around that 7 car. You could see a lot of air being dumped on the deck lid of that 47 Camaro. But here he is, trying to find a new gear. And how about this same thing for Joshua Moyers? We were talking about it in the pre-race show, still trying to get that first win of Segment 2 here in 2026. And the Segment 1 champion has decided it's go time. You're going 7,000 plus, and now he's going to get turned into the outside wall. Goes Joshua Moyers. He flips upside down in turn number 2, and for the first time this evening, the caution flag flies on lap 54. Oh my goodness. And that changes absolutely everything. And we were just talking about how he was ready to hit the go button, and a misjudgment between teammates sends that Cincinnati Camaro tumbling in turn 2. Oh my goodness. Oh, don't do it. So Moyers, who was running in third, fortunately, doesn't look like there's too much damage on that Cincinnati 68 Chevrolet. But man, that's a gut punch, and that is not what you wanted if you're Randall Coleman. And especially, it doesn't help that 2 of his teammates collided with one another. But it'll be 15 laps to go this next time by, and we'll see, does anybody come down the pit lane for fresh rubber? Drew Fast is thinking about it, and he's going to draw a crowd. And with only 15 laps to go in this race, everybody is going to be on the same strategy, and it is going to be an all-out bar fight for this race win here in the Irish Hills, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Here in the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series, this is officially the money stop, ladies and gentlemen. Getting into his pit stall perfectly is the 9. Drew Fast slides the tires a little bit. Randall Coleman taking 4 tires. He is the odds-on favorite to win the race off the pit lane. Laprade out and away. Tate Dorsey might steal a spot coming off of the pit lane. It's going to be close between him and Fast. I believe Drew may have just edged him out coming off the pit lane, and he did. And the lights are already off on the pace car, so quickly, before we go back green, we'll take a look and see what happened to Joshua Moyers. Right before we go back to the green flag here in Michigan, and Stallhood was going down to the low side, and you could tell that there was going to be some contact up into the wall. Bumper grabbed the safer barrier and slid on his roof like a beach turtle for about maybe 100 yards before fortunately getting back onto the wheels. Fortunately, it looks like he's going to remain going. And you know what? That wouldn't be the first time we've seen a flippin' win here on the North American Sim Racing Network. Pace cars down the pit lane. Randall Coleman's going to lead them back through the Geico restart zone. And with only a handful of laps to go, it'll be 14 to go as they go back through the gearbox. Green flag back out and away. Here we are once again. Coleman gets a good jump. Tate Dorsey on the inside, however, getting a pretty big run. And John Foreman and Drew Fast are back in this battle. And you know what? Don't count out Joshua Moyers in that 68 car. Despite flipping in turn 2, he's still in 6th. And still is going to have a pretty good shot to win this race. Coleman up the track. Same thing with LaPrade. Dorsey's going to make it 3 wide off of the corner. Closing in on the late stages of this race, and Tate Dorsey knows it's go time as well. Moyers and Stallhood right now nose to tail, with John Foreman currently rounding out the top 5. And does anybody have anything for that 9 car of Randall Coleman? Tate Dorsey trying to say, yes, sir. Oh, some contact once again between Stallhood and Moyers as they pinballed off of one another off of turn 2 once again. I think there might be a fairly aggressive team meeting for Revolution Motorsports after this one as LaPrade goes underneath of Dorsey. Coleman leads once again, 13 laps to go, make it 12 laps to go here at the Michigan International Speedway. Coleman that last time by 1/10 of a second slower than his fastest lap of the night. And now we're starting to see the field spread out a little bit here as LaPrade aggressively will close in and block that 64 car to take that second spot away. Tate's going to get him with the crossover, though, going into 3. He's going to dive it way down. He's going for the whole kit and caboodle and the whole enchilada. Not going to quite get the lead. He'll take second away from LaPrade. What's it going to cost him in terms of tire wear? LaPrade back down to the low side. He's going to go all the way. Darn near went into the grass. That's not something you want to do here, is go way into the grass. As Stallhood dives it way down low into the corner, he's going to slide up and nearly clipped his second car of the night in John Foreman. Nine cars started this race. 7 have a chance to win. LaPrade back in second. That's where he's been most of the evening. And this time by all 10 digits displayed from the flag stand. 20 miles remain at Michigan, 10 laps to go. And what has truly been some mayhem here tonight in the Motor City, despite there being only 1 caution flag. This has been nothing short of an enthralling race as Drew Fast clipped the mustard line down to the low side of turns 1 and 2. He's going to fall back a little bit in the 74, quickly grabbed his momentum back as Tate Dorsey has fallen back into the clutches of John Foreman. Fast looking for his second win in as many weeks. Randall Coleman looking for his first win in about a month for this 9 car. He fidgeted there off turn 4. It's not something you want to do after being the dominant car of the night so far, is fidget that car any more than you have to. With 8 to go, make it 9 to go actually. Fast and LaPrade door to door. Fast will draw back in line right behind that Lazarus 47. Drew's not done yet. Tate Dorsey is not done yet. And you know what? Joshua Moyers might not be done yet either, as he is currently the only car that is more than a second behind the race leader. Everybody now getting into a line with one another. So we're going to go choo-choo training here for a few moments here at the Michigan International Speedway as everybody is gearing up for that final 3-lap dash, and Drew Fast nearly bought his ticket there as Tate Dorsey nearly climbed on top of him. He nearly got him right in the rear end there. Unfortunately, those two will avoid one another. Fast now starting to drag the brake a little bit down the back straightaway, and that's the type of racing we're starting to see here at Michigan. Trying to set up your runs. Tate will go to the high side. Foreman in the middle. Stallhood down low in that sandwich. Stallhood nearly with a couple of Mustangs on top of him. They will straighten things out coming across the stripe with 7 to go. Meanwhile, the gap between Coleman and LaPrade stagnating at about 1/10 of a second between those two Chevrolets. But if you're these 3 Fords back in here, you are looking for manufacturer pride. Of course, Brooklyn, Michigan, not too far away from Dearborn, Michigan, the headquarters of the Ford Motor Corporation, and they would love to do nothing but get a win in their backyard. But same thing for this bow tie team. Revolution Motorsports with 6 to go. They would love to get a win. They're trying to get their second win of the season and first win in 2 weeks. Coleman has led 49 laps tonight. That is well over half of this race, but it is still far from over, coming around to 5, count 'em, 5 laps to go this next time by. Dorsey going way up the track in that Valvoline 64. LaProd's got the run off of the corner. 5 laps to go here in Michigan. 10 miles only remain. Big run coming for the 47. Huge run, but he's not able to do it. He had to check up so much going through one. But also, no cautions from here on out. Actually, no, we do have caution. There is no point of no return in fast. I forgot about that. But within that range, where if we get a caution, that would end the race potentially. Four laps to go. LaPrade still lockstep with Coleman. And it could be a really good story for who finishes in third. You know, we were talking about it right at the top of the show, right at the beginning of the race. John Foreman in this University of Michigan Ford Fusion. It doesn't get any more Michigan and Detroit than this car. Trying to bring the Wolverines to a podium, currently 1 position away from doing so. Drew Fast looking for his 3rd consecutive podium. Don LaPrade looking for a win in his first start of the season, if I'm not mistaken. And Randall Coleman, God, I'm trying to figure out the last time he even won a race here in the Fast Racing League. 3 laps to go, 6 miles remain in the Irish Hills. Coleman still leads, and he's got his biggest lead over LaPrade yet. 2/4 of a second between the 47 and the 9 that last time by, but turns 1 and 2 have been Don LaPrade's bread and butter all night long, and he's going to once again suck up about a car length and a half behind that 9 car. Do we see the patented Don LaPrade dive in this race? He has pulled off that move so many times in the Fuel Racing League. Are we going to see it in store here tonight as John Foreman did more than kiss the wall. He danced without room for Jesus with that wall. Sticks high in the air, 2 laps to go. LaPrade not done yet, and Randall Coleman not quite out of the woods yet. LaPrade's going to go with a little bit higher of a line as Tate Dorsey has gone around John Foreman. That might be the end of a bid for a podium for Foreman in that 70 car. Lap and a half remaining here at Michigan. Here comes LaPrade, a lane lower than Randall, not able to get the power down, and he's going to lose a lot of time in turn number 4. Coleman running perfectly through that 4th corner. That may have been the race right there, but it's the bell lap in Michigan. 1 lap to go here in the Irish Hills, and Randall Coleman looking to lead 55 laps here tonight for a dominating win. LaPrade now beginning to fight that 2 front war as he's got Drew Fast all up in his rear view mirror. He's going to have 1 more shot at Coleman. Going into turns 3 and 4. Does he go for the dive? He's trying to go for the dive. He's all the way on the white line. He's not going to be able to make it stick, though, and it's going to be 1 spot short off turn 4. Randall Coleman, the double nickel with a dime tonight. He leads 55 laps to get the win here in Michigan. And as is per tradition, whenever Chase Elliott has a poor run, Randall Coleman usually is able to get the job done, as he is your race winner tonight for the Motor City Mayhem. And how about that? 55 laps led. Incredible, crushing domination is all you can ask for, and I believe he also swept both stages as well, if I'm not mistaken. And he survives the late race chaos to go to Gatorade Victory Lane here tonight on that Amazon Flex number 9 Chevy Camaro. Randall Coleman, your race winner tonight. He's going to burn it down here in the Irish Hills. Great looking burnout for a great looking driver. And he looked great here tonight, and he's going to take it straight to where that car belongs, and he's going to park it right there in victory lane. Randall Coleman, your official winner here tonight at the Michigan International Speedway. He wins the Motor City Mayhem here tonight in Michigan. And what a race that we had here this evening. But that's not going to quite do it here for our coverage, as our post-race interviews will be coming up here quite shortly. Here after an enthralling race at the Michigan International Speedway, Randall Coleman dominates and wins here at MIS this evening. We'll be back in just a couple of moments here on the North American Sim Racing Network's coverage of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. We are back at the Michigan International Speedway after an incredible race here in the Motor City Mayhem as Randall Coleman dominated, leading 55 of 70 laps to get his first win of the segment. Here in segment 2 of the 2026 season of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series, Trey Wright on the air here for the North American Sim Racing Network. Only one caution flag on the night. It did create some fireworks at the end, but ultimately, top 3 drivers that finished were the top 3 that we had here tonight. And it was certainly not short of any sort of fun racing and dramatic racing here this evening. Beginning our post-race interviews with our third-place finisher, driver of the number 74, Overstat Chevrolet or Ford Fusion or Ford Mustang, Mr. Drew Fast. You got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
Sure do.
Well, it has been quite the beginning of the season for you, for this group, as you gained your tonight. You've gained your third consecutive podium finish on the season, and you've really hit around for the cycle on the podium over these first 3 weeks, where you finished second at Charlotte, first last week for your first points-paying win. First and foremost, congratulations on that at Nashville last week, and then getting third here tonight for a really hot start to your second segment of the season. First and foremost, congratulations on a well-deserved podium.
Thank you very much.
So Michigan is a very difficult track to race with, where going off of turn number 2, especially, it's just a very touchy racetrack where you're very light on the gas at some points. Other times you're like really mashing, and overall you had the experience from a Wednesday night's fuel race in the book already. But overall, how difficult of a track to drive is Michigan, and how was you were able to really pull into your strategy here tonight?
Yeah, it was the track was very, very tight tonight. So it was hard to it was a lot of tire saving on top of being really tight, but it was also really hard to pass if you didn't pass at the start. So like it was a really big balancing act between saving tires and making moves at the start of a run. Because once you got like 10, 15 laps into the run, it was basically just impossible to pass. So
pretty much, and then, that caution with about 15 laps to go, that kind of really threw a monkey wrench in everybody's strategy, because it brought everybody back on the same page strategy-wise, and you would come in a little bit earlier than everybody else. Were you thinking on that final restart with about 14 laps to go, just how aggressive you were trying to be?
Yeah, that caution actually probably saved my race. Like you said, I had pitted before everybody. It was only like a lap or 2, but they still came out ahead of me, and I kind of burned my tires trying to get caught back up to the draft there. So I was not going to be in a very good position if that went green the whole time. So kind of saved me. Unfortunate for Josh. He had a good car, but yeah, that did kind of save me there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was there was a lot of again, that last restart was really just trying to balance it. I knew like 14 laps was long enough that I couldn't completely fry my tires, but I also couldn't get passed by all these people who were trying to, be really aggressive on the restart. So it was just a lot of balancing the tires there.
It definitely was, and that provided a lot of excitement on the racetrack, and especially for us up here in the broadcast booth. But you've got probably one of your hottest starts to any segment in your career, with 3 consecutive podium finishes, 1 for every position, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe you'll be the points leader going into Pocono next week. The tricky triangle, it has its own challenges, but looking ahead on the schedule, you've got Pocono, you've you've got potentially a Navy-based Coronado coming up, and a slew of other tracks right now on the chopping block for the schedule. How do you think you're going to be able to carry this momentum into a tough track like Pocono, a complete unknown like Navy-based Speedway, and everything else that's coming up here on the horizon?
Yeah, so Pocono is always an interesting track. I think I did pretty good at Pocono last year, if I remember correctly. I don't know how I finished, but I think I was racing pretty well. So I think Pocono will be interesting. See how that goes, and I have no idea. I don't even know what the next road course track looks like. So that'll be an interesting track to do.
Unfortunately, it looks like we'll talk with Randall to see if what the progress is with being made with Navy Base Speedway with the A23 track designs. Those guys always do a fantastic job with any course they go to, but we'll see. We'll get an update on what things are going to look like over on that side of things. But it's certainly interesting times coming up. But we got one of the most consistent drivers up in the booth with us, Drew Fast, and yeah, thank you so much for coming on. And before we let you go, we'll give you the floor to thank anybody that you want. If there's anybody you want to shout out here on the NESRN, any sponsors you want to thank for a third place finisher here tonight, Mr. Drew Fast, the floor is yours.
Just want to thank Josh for sponsoring the race tonight, getting the broadcast going. So thanks to Josh.
Big shout out to Joshua Moyers for getting the broadcast going, like you said. And unfortunately for him, it kind of resulted with the world seeing him end up beached like a turtle there for a brief moment in turn 2.
Yeah.
But he battled back to get a top 5 finish, if I'm not mistaken. We'll double check that statistic here real quick. He actually finished in 7th, the last car on the lead lap. But overall, thank you so much, Drew, for coming on post-race. We'll see you Wednesday night for Fuel at Pocono, and we'll see you in probably about 2 weeks here at Navy Base Speedway here for our next broadcast for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. But until Wednesday night, have a good night, man. We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
User was moved out of your
That was
channel.
Drew Fast, driver of the number 74 Overstat Ford Mustang, third place finisher in tonight's race here at the Michigan International Speedway. We'll bring in our second place driver,
User was
driver
moved
of the
to your
number
channel.
47, Lazarus Chevy Camaro, Mr. Dunlap Rod. You got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth.
Yes, so I do.
Well, you've certainly been quite popular here up in the booth over the last week or so with a couple of really good runs in the Fuel Sportsman and Grand National Series. Of course, that win Wednesday or a couple of nights ago at Watkins Glen. But here, nearly a week after your a little bit of struggles here and there at Michigan in the Fuel Grand National Series, you're able to get a second place finish tonight in your season debut, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, I was, running kind of okay all night. I was battling a really, really tight condition all night long. I could run the bottom, I think, okay, but it was not the preferred line. That was really the only lane that I could really run in and be comfortable. Because if I ran the middle, like a lot of people were, I was just really, really tight. So I was battling a very tight car all night long. So I couldn't really do anything with Randall at the end there. He was just way too good all night long, and I was just way too tight. And probably a dummy move on my part to change the steering ratio a little bit just to try something different, because I struggled in a separate league a couple of nights ago that ran this exact same version of the track, and I just dummy me thinking that it would be able to convert it, but I forgot that every league has a different setup when they run their fixed setup. So oops on my part, but getting a second place finish, I'd say, is a good deal considering the condition that I was battling all night long, and being able to be right there with Randall all night long. That's kind of shocking to me. I thought that he would easily pull away from me because I was just, like I said, I know I keep emphasizing this, but I was just struggling. I was just so tired all night long. But to be able to be right there with him all night long, I think is a bit of a win in of itself, because at least I had somewhat of a chance, even if it looked very slim and hopeless. I had somewhat of a chance if crazy things happen.
Yeah, and then overall, it didn't really look like you were too tight based on just how close you guys were racing. But overall, take us back to that only restart we had of the night with 14 laps to go. It puts everybody right on the same strategy. You were on that exact same strategy with Randall, but when that caution came out, it completely changed the complexion of the game. And just walk us through that final restart where we had. And your battle there at the end of, do you think there's anything different you could have done, or do you think second place was about the high mark there?
Nah, second place was the high mark. I was just hoping that Randall would make a mistake, and obviously he ran a very, very flawless race. And I was, if I if I could deal with a second place finish, then that's a good enough of a day for me. I wish that wasn't battling the tight condition that I was dealing with all night long and be right there with him at the end. I know that he said that Randall was struggling with the tightness as well, and everybody else was dealing with how tight their cars were. Well, so I wasn't the only one. I don't know if it was just me. I was just unbearably tired. So I don't know. I mean, there was nothing else I could have done different. I just had to hope that he made a mistake and I would pounce. But it's with how big, a wide, and fast this track is, and it's just kind of hard to make those kind of mistakes. I mean, you have to run, like I said, ran a very flawless race, and he did just that. So yeah, nothing else I could have done. I wish I had something more uh, in my pocket to go for it, but yeah, that was about the best that I could have done. Is the best that I could have done is a second place finish.
And you know what? Hey, fighting a hill handling race car like that, if you're still able to get it to a solid mid podium finish, I'd say a job well done, especially given the circumstances and especially given just how dominant Randall was here tonight. He certainly had the car to beat, leading 55 of the 70 laps on the board. But looking ahead into the future, you've got Pocono coming up. It's such a fun track, but also a very technical track where we're going to see a lot of comers and goers up in the Tricky Triangle. But especially, looking these next 3 weeks, you've got Pocono, you've got a potentially Navy base Coronado coming up, and then Chicagoland somewhere in the fray as well. What are you looking forward to of those next 3 upcoming tracks, and where are you looking like, okay, it's going to be a little bit sketchy. I'm not sure about Navy base Speedway, but overall, how do you think you can try and keep this momentum going here, and especially being a part-time driver?
I think that I can definitely go for the win at Pocono and Chicagoland. Bit of a stretch at the naval base in San Diego because not only is Joshua really good on the road courses, but Randall has gotten so much better at the road courses over the years as well. So it's going to be very, and if somebody else that's really fast on the road courses shows up, I felt like that I could do very well on the road course and have a chance, but those guys are on a different planet than me when it comes to the road courses. So I just have to kind of just, hope that I could, stay on all 4 wheels, have a fighting chance. And yeah, it's about the best that I could ask for. But yeah, I'm really excited for Pocono and Chicagoland, and I'm definitely, even if I may not be in contention for the win at the San Diego race, we'll see. I'm very excited to go to that track because it's obviously first time for everyone, new to us, new to NASCAR in real life as well. So it's very, very should be a very fun one to watch.
It should definitely be a fun one to watch, as we'll talk with Randall Coleman to see again any updates on if Navy Base Speedway is a go for the next fortnight. But Dunn, you've been up in our podium broadcast booth here for the last 3 weeks. It seems like you know the score. We'll give you the floor to thank anybody you want. If there's any sponsors you want to shout out here on the NASRN for a runner-up finisher here tonight in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Dunn the Prod, the floor is yours.
First and foremost, I want to give a special shout out to all the LGQBT people. It's Pride Month, so sending my love to each and every single one of y'all. Y'all are awesome. Shout out to you for broadcasting the race. Shout out to Randall for the Fast League. I encourage everyone who hasn't raced it fast to give it a shot because we have a bunch of great people to race with. It's always fun. So definitely check it out if you haven't. Shout out to all the drivers that was in tonight's race and the rest of FAS who have participated in the race this season. Shout out to everyone watching at home. Shout out to Team EFR and shout out to everyone else for making me a better driver.
That's all you can really ask for. And, like we said, love this league that Randall puts on in the link for the description, or link down in the description box below for the Fast Discord server. We race every Sunday night here all throughout the NASCAR season, and it is such a ton of fun here in Fast. And yeah, you get to race with legends of the NR2003 online scene like Dunlop Prod. Getting a pretty good second place finish here tonight, and congratulations on that. And thank you so much for once again coming on post race. And we'll see you Wednesday night over in the Tricky Triangle for the Fuel Racing League, for the Fuel Grand National Series down at Pocono.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Have a good night, man.
Thank you. You do the same.
User was moved
That was
out of your
Dunlop Prod,
channel.
driver of the number 47 Lazarus Chevy Camaro. Your runner-up finisher here in tonight's 70-lap event. It's time to bring in the man of the hour.
User
It's hard
was
to
moved
believe
your
that this is the
channel.
first ever time we've got Randall Coleman up in the booth for a race win. But first and foremost, congratulations on a dominating win tonight. You got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth, my good man?
Oh, yeah, I got you.
I'm glad we do, because that was an absolute belt-to-bumper of the field tonight. 55 laps led, and you had the setup to beat here tonight. First and foremost, congratulations on getting your first win since midway through segment 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, first one for segment 2. Second overall in the year, but you know, it's after all the bad luck we've had, it's finally good to get back into victory lane.
It definitely is, and you talk about the bad luck you've had, going, all the way back to as far as the first broadcast we had here for the Fast Racing League, all the way back at Bristol, where you were dominating throughout the middle part of the race, but unfortunately ran into some issues there. Talladega's always a crapshoot. Watkins Glen and Texas had their own problems, and the first 2 races of the season, Charlotte, you get knocked out with an issue last week. You weren't able to get the job done, but here tonight, what does it feel like to finally get rid of all the bad luck, and especially in this Chase Elliott car?
If Zach was here, Zach would probably be picking on me about the curse of the Amazon car. But it's kind of funny because both wins that we've gotten so far this year are out of the Amazon car. So maybe it's the Napa car that's cursed now. I don't know, but hope not. We're not giving up on that car yet. So, but nah, feels pretty good to get back into victory lane. Like I said, I don't think 3 races in to segment 1, counting the opening exhibition race. We wound up winning at Atlanta. So second points race in segment 1, and then it took us 3 races into segment 2 to get into the victory lane. So, started off good. Daytona, we dominated. Was up front, leading at the beginning of the season. Had internet issues, wound up falling out from the lead. Never got to recover from that. And then, like you said, at the beginning of this season, Charlotte, dominating the race. Yellow comes out, get up and going again, and then all of a sudden the engine just dies right in front of the whole entire pack. So seems like we have some bad omens for the opening races of the season, but 1 or 2 more races in, we get kind of back on track and get going.
There definitely was. And, talking about tonight, you definitely had the setup to beat. We were talking about with a couple of different drivers how their setup was a little bit too tight. Their setup was a little bit too loose. We saw drivers, relatively clean throughout the race, other than that only caution we had about 20 laps to go. But, what was your key to domination here tonight? And what was the main thing of your setup that really made it click to where you were able to pretty much just run on cruise control here tonight?
Well, for the most part, I think like the other 2 were talking about earlier, I was listening to them, and it was kind of the general consensus of the night was setup was really kind of tight. But us being out front, being in that open air, being able to kind of maneuver it a little bit better than everybody else who was in the dirty air, I think that kind of helped a lot. I could tell myself, like, I think Dunn was saying how he could only run the bottom to be like really good. I couldn't get down to the bottom as good as they could. I was just too tight out front to try to even point my nose down there. So maybe the dirty air allowed them to get down lower to come off, but because of the tightness, it made it harder for them to pass. So being able to be out front, I think was the big key benefit of it, because like done a couple times. He made a run on me, and he got up there right at me, and I just don't think he could have made the move to get under me to kind of hold it down there. I know probably earlier in the race you seen where Foreman, he got by me, but we were able to stay up there on the upper side of him, and he just got tight, and you could tell by him getting tighter, we were able to get back out in front of him without having to do a crossover or anything like that. So definitely a tighter setup tonight. I don't remember it being tight like that last year, but at the end of the day, it paid benefit to us because last year we struggled here. So I don't know what the difference of it was compared to last year to this year, but maybe just being out front at the right place, right time, being able to be in that clean air was the benefit for us this year.
It definitely seemed to be the biggest benefit for you guys, but on that final caution where it put everybody back on the lead lap and everybody back on the exact same strategy, you would have been dealing with Dunn and Drew for the majority of the race, and it looked like it was just going to be a match race between you and the 74, the 47 in the final 15 laps, but. And the caution flag comes out. Everybody gets on the same strategy. Just walk us through what you were able to do to try and defend your win here tonight.
First off, I was like, first thing I thought was, oh no, here we go, Charlotte all over again.
Wasn't quite a debris caution. It was a car. I think a car going upside down is a little bit more than a debris caution.
Well, yes, I agree with that too, 100%. But you have that late race caution again, and you're just sitting there thinking like, oh boy, what can go wrong this time? Like, are we going to go into the turn, get loose instead of tight? Is it not going to, like, you don't know. But we were able to stay out front there. And I think the other thing that really helped was everybody got on the same page, but then you had other people, you're getting down towards the end of the race. And I know Tate, I'm just going to throw him out there because I've seen him a couple times in my rearview mirror, especially trying to get a run on me. But Tate's starting to get a little bit aggressive and make some moves. And when you start getting into the little racing back and forth, because I seen like Tate would go underneath Dunn and fly by him, and then next thing you know, Dunn's crossing him over, and they're just driving hard. They're trying to get there to get to us, to race us for that position. And I think them going back and forth a couple times, that gave us a little bit more of a benefit to be able to stretch it out a little bit because we didn't have that pressure as much as they did. And then you see Drew come up through there too. Gets past Tate, and then he's right there with Dunn, racing them there towards the end. That helped us a little bit. And like I said, for the most part throughout the whole entire night, like it was track position. You get up there, it is just so much harder to make a move to pass, especially after the first 5-6 laps maybe. I would say after the 6th lap, you start getting a little bit tighter behind somebody. So, we had that little run there at the end. Tate and Dunn and Drew were all going back and forth there, trying to, get the upper hand on somebody to once they, if you were able to hold on to that spot, you probably after 5 or 6 laps, you weren't going to really get to make another move unless somebody really messed up, got into the wall, got too tight and had to let off or something like that. So seeing them to race back there and try to and not really make a run at us, I think that gave us the biggest benefit at the end of the race.
It definitely did, and like you were talking about earlier, being able to run in that clean air and just take advantage of everybody kind of battling behind you and getting a little bit tight there more towards the end really played into your favor. But you've finally got that monkey off your back for the first time in about 3 months with the points-paying win. But looking ahead to the future here to the next 2 weeks, particularly to Navy Base Speedway, we got that coming up. We know there's a lot of anticipation with Naval Base Coronado coming up with you guys in Area 23 track designs. What can we really expect in that department here in these next 2 weeks? And talking about this week, you got essentially 2 road courses coming up with Pocono coming up next week, and then of course Navy Base Speedway. What can we really expect from those 2 venues?
So yeah, after Pocono, obviously that's the biggest thing that everybody's kind of talking about right now is are we or are we not going to be racing at a San Diego street course? And as far as to my knowledge, we are going to be racing at the San Diego Street Circuit or Coronado, whichever way you want to call it. Um, we're basically at the point right now where we're kind of waiting to see if they're going to give us a little bit more of a look to it to kind of see where the sponsors layouts and stuff is on the actual track itself, like what sponsors are going to be put where, so we can kind of add a little bit more, eye candy to it. If we're not able to do that, we're still going to run the race. We're still going to run the track. It's going to be a pretty exciting thing. Uh, one thing that I can say about Area 23 is in the past couple years, we have been able to go out there and put some tracks together like LA Coliseum. We had some really good people working on that to be able to get that out for the NR2003 community. Last year, our biggest thing, which we still have to get all the final approvals before we can even release it publicly, but we were able to get out there and race on a Red Bull Ring circuit, something that's not really been on NR ever. I think there's a really, really old version of it, but nobody really talks about that as much. So to have that Red Bull Ring and it's set up for the F1 races as well as we were able to make it into an NR thing with Esco trackside designs. He was the original one who was working on it, kind of handed it off to us to let us kind of do our own thing with it, work on some cameras and stuff like that. So we were able to do camera changes and stuff like that and change it into an actual NASCAR style circuit, as well as with his F1 stuff. So once we get all those final touches on it, we'll be able to release that to the public. But to have a couple tracks like that, and then now with we did the Chicago Street Course as well too, but to bring out the San Diego track here in a couple weeks, obviously it's going to be a rough draft. But after the race, we can crack down on it, do some more things to it. Had a lot of help from a couple other people with some models and stuff that's going to be put on there with some planes and some hangars and stuff like that. So, like I said, it's more than just Area 23. We got a whole community thing. So, you know, I think it's going to be a really cool thing. The people who race it fast are going to be able to come out here and enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's looking to be very exciting based on what I've been hearing in the garage area. Everybody's really looking forward to it. And who knows, maybe we could get a pretty sizable field size as well. You know, tonight was absolutely incredible with having 9 cars in the server. I think it was the largest field size we've had in the last couple of weeks here in Fast. So it's great. We're glad to see the field size beginning to grow and grow more. And the only critique I would have of Navy Base Speedway, are we going to get a carrier over on the back end of the course?
I don't know. I guess you might have to wait to see. But I cannot confirm nor deny that you will see an aircraft carrier.
We'll just have to wait and find out. Coming at you in 2 weeks' time, our Navy base race at the Naval Base Coronado. Here coming up on the North American Sim Racing Network for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. Cannot wait. I know you guys are going to rock it out of the park. Doesn't matter if it's going to be a rough draft or not. You guys are going to absolutely kill it.
I sure hope so. Like I said, it's something that, you know, a lot of people are going to be talking about for a while. We're going to have a lot of eyes on that. I think that's going to be a very popular race. People's going to really want to tune in just to see it firsthand, kind of compare it to the actual layout. You know, obviously we have the rough draft of the layout, so we don't know what got changed, if anything got changed. So, you know, it'll still be a little while before it gets out there to the public. But, you know, that's one thing I've always said about with racing over here at Fast is if you come out here and you race on a consistent basis, you know, being that we do own Area 23 track designs, you know, it's kind of, you get your first hands kind of on these tracks to come out here and race them, be our guinea pigs and stuff like that. Don't really want to use that term really a whole lot because, you know, we don't want anything to really go wrong for anybody during those races. But anything that needs to be slightly tweaked and stuff, then we can go from there because, you know, you get that experience on there, you get that track time and all that. So that's one of the really cool benefits of coming over here and race it fast. you know, that we get to do this type of stuff with the tracks that Area 23 gets to work on.
Absolutely, and it's a ton of fun to see the growth of just the amount of tracks being in the library, and of course, it just still shows that the NR community is just so strong that we're likely going to be getting some version of the track as the same weekend as the Navy base racing is going to be at. So big congratulations to you guys on working on that. I know you guys are working your hearts out, and another big congratulations on getting the race win tonight as well. But before we let you go, Randall, we'll give you the floor to thank any sponsors you want here tonight. If there's anybody that you want to shout out here on the NASRN for our winner of tonight's Motor City Mayhem race at the Michigan International Speedway, Randall Coleman, the floor is yours.
All right, first and foremost, gotta give a shout out to the girlfriend. She lets me come over here and race every single Sunday night. So one thing she always asks after we get done racing every night is, "Did you win?" And I've had to tell her every single week here for quite a while, no, didn't win, or no, something bad happened or whatnot. But tonight we can go over here and be like, hey, we got the race win.
Let's go.
So yeah, that's gonna be a good thing. But shout out to her. Shout out to Josh Moyers coming on here and sponsoring this race. Didn't even know he was doing it until you hit me up earlier and said, hey, Josh is sponsoring the race now. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of neat. So huge shout out to him for doing that and leaving me in the unknown part of it. It'd been cool to know, because then I could have posted it in the announcement section. But it is what it is. Really cool that he did that. I know we have a couple other people maybe interested in doing the same thing. So who knows what's going to happen here in the next couple weeks. But, shout out to Josh for doing that. Shout out for you to come back out here and do this race. I know we didn't have the race scheduled last week or currently next week, but you'll be back here for San Diego here in 2 weeks. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I want to give a shout out to all the people who come out here and race every week. We haven't had the greatest numbers here lately. It is the summertime. A lot of people do have families and stuff like that, but really want to try and encourage more people to come out here and race with us. It's a lot of fun. I think tonight, even though the setup was really tight, there was a lot of good racing. At least for the most part, there was a lot of side by side early on in the races that I could see from behind. So, we've had, I guess, technically 3 races into the season, 3 different winners in the points races. So again, the diversity here at this league currently has been really, really good lately. So highly encourage people to come out here and race. I started to purge some people who haven't been around racing with us for a while, or just kind of sitting in there. So trying to get those numbers out here to get these people to come out here and race with us every week, because there's a lot of fun things that we do, a lot of competitiveness here at this league. So really highly encourage those people to come out here and race with us every week. Gotta give a shout out to Tyler and Josh again. And even though he's not racing, gotta give a shout out to Zach as well. Those guys, they push me every single week to come out here and keep doing this, keep racing, keep enjoying this sim. So can't thank them enough for being there in my corner, being part of our race team. Without them, who knows what would be going on right now. So just glad that I have a bunch of those guys in my corner pushing me every week to keep on doing what we're doing, coming out here having fun. Didn't give any shout outs to my sponsors yet. So Amazon Flex got another win. I know Zach says this car's cursed, but hey, it's gotten to the winner circle. So, got 2 races under the belt. We're going to try to go next week to Pocono with the Napa car and see if we can go and get another win early in the season. I do like Pocono, but a lot of those road courses, I think Dunn mentioned, we're really good at the road courses. Playoff races coming up. We got some really strong tracks in the playoffs coming up too. So looking forward to those races as well. Chicagoland was one of the tracks that we won at last season, so looking forward to that track again too. But Napa, we're going to get a win with them. I guarantee it.
Absolutely.
One of these days we're going to get it. And like you said, Chase Elliott was doing so freaking good today. Had a bad race. we come out here and perform, get a race win. Thought we were going to do that at Charlotte too, because he had a bad race at Charlotte, and we came out here and dominated and wound up having almost basically the same type of finish that he did. So not every week do we come out here and do it. I think you brought up the All-Star race when I raced over at Fuel. Chase Elliott didn't do very good, and then we came out and won that race too. So, you know, maybe as a Chase Elliott fan, I want to see him do well, but I also want to do well too. But if it's going to keep going this trend,
It's yin and yang at this point.
yeah. But maybe one day we can all click on all cylinders on both sides. He wins and I win, and then we're back in sync. So who knows? Maybe. But yeah. That's really all I got. Like these guys every week they come out here and race with us, and I can't thank them enough. And to be able to do this, have this broadcast, have this league, it's definitely a win-win in my book.
It definitely is. And hey, you guys are the ones that put on the incredible racing product on track. And again, if anybody is interested in joining the Fast Racing League, link for the Discord server down in the description box below. And we've got one of the best men in the world as the admin here with Mr. Randall Coleman at the helm of the Fast Racing League. And Randall, thank you so much for coming on here post-race and doing some interviews. And go celebrate with your girlfriend, because I know she's going to be excited to hear that you finally got that monkey off your back.
Yeah, definitely going to do that for a little bit. And got to get to bed here soon too. 4:30 comes early.
It definitely does. All right, man. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
In 2
You
weeks.
too.
User was moved out of your
That
channel.
was Randall Coleman, driver of the number 9 Amazon Flex Chevrolet Camaro for Revolution Motorsports, as well as the boss man for the Fast Racing League. Getting the job done here tonight in dominating fashion to win the Motor City Mayhem here tonight at the Michigan International Speedway. And that's going to wrap up tonight's broadcast here on the North American Sim Racing Network. Before we'll get out of Dodge, we'll do a top-down run through the order, beginning with Randall Coleman, who won this race by 0.2 of a second over Dunlop Rod. Coleman, like we were talking about, leading 55 laps on the night. And Drew Fast rounded out the podium, finishing in third. Tate Dorsey was finished in fourth, and Tyler Stallhood rebounded to finish in fifth, to round out the top 5. John Foreman finished in 6th, and Joshua Moyers rebounded to finish in 7th. So last car on the lead lap and on the garage, or on the racetrack in proper. RJ Bishop retired for the race, 22 laps shy of the finish. He finished in 8th, and DeMario Chambers, with disconnection issues, finished in 9th, 59 laps down. But that's going to do it here for tonight's broadcast. We're off next week for Pocono, as I'll be attending the Great American 400 personally with my girlfriend. Big shout out to Emily. Got a shout. We're all shouting out our girlfriends here tonight on the North American Sim Racing Network. So I want to give a big shout out to her. And once again, another shout out to her sister Victoria and her newlywed husband, Jesus. This 1 week of marriage. Let's go. So big congratulations to them on that. And coming up in a fortnight, it is NASCAR San Diego weekend. Not only the NASCAR San Diego weekend, it's the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series San Diego weekend. That'll be coming at you on Sunday, June 21st, on Father's Day evening at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's going to be so much fun, and we cannot wait. Of course, like we were talking about, Area 23 track designs in that entire area of the NR2003 community. They're doing a heck of a job. And we can't wait to see what they're able to cook up here. And like Randall said, I know he doesn't like exactly saying that, hey, everybody's on here, we're kind of trying to use as guinea pigs. But you know what? When you're testing out something as groundbreaking as Navy-based Speedway, I think the moniker of guinea pig is definitely a badge of honor in my book at least. But nonetheless, that's going to be coming up in 2 weeks here on the North American Sim Racing Network, part of our season-long coverage of the Fast Racing League here on the NASRN. Of course, we got the Fuel Racing League on Wednesday and Friday nights as well. And we have just got so much content on the board for you every single week here on the NASRM. But that's going to do it for tonight's broadcast. On behalf of Randall Coleman, the entire Fast Racing League, on behalf of the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright, saying so long from Brooklyn, Michigan. Congratulations to Randall Coleman on winning the Motor City Mayhem tonight here at the Michigan International Speedway. And we'll see y'all in a fortnight at the San Diego Street Course on Navy Base Coronado. Sunday, June 21st at 9 o'clock Eastern, right here on your home for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series, the North American Sim Racing Network. Have a good evening, folks. Enjoy your week. We'll see you Wednesday night here for Fuel Grand National, live from the Tricky Triangle of Pocono, here on the NASRN. Have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night.